I've had a chance to watch the new Resident Evil movie called Welcome to Raccoon City, and it is a full-on reboot of the Resident Evil movie franchise. It stars a whole bunch of new actors playing characters that we know from the game. So we've got Robbie Amell, who I recently spoke with, playing Chris Redfield. We've got Kaya Scodelario playing Claire Redfield. Avan Jogia playing Leon S. Kennedy. Tom Hooper plays Wesker. Hannah John-Kamen, who we know from Killjoys and Ant-Man and the Wasp, is playing Jill Valentine. And we've got Neal McDonough in this movie, as well as Donal Logue, some great character actors we see in tons of different things out there. And this is a take on the Resident Evil franchise that really tries to skew close to the game. So unlike the Paul W.S. Anderson movies, some of which were kind of fun, but they were all over the top and filled with insane action and stuff that was not really a part of the video game world. They took some influence, but they went off in their own direction. This is really trying to, almost recount the tale of the first two Resident Evil games, and it's really eerie to see the cinematic realization of locations that we have played through many times in the past in the Resident Evil games. And that's why I dig this movie. And I think that there has to be a qualifier with Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, because it is a lower budget horror movie. It's also another zombie movie, and this is a genre that's well populated across video games, movies, and television shows. So it's not really groundbreaking in that respect. But if you come to this movie with any recollection of the games or any kind of appreciation, or you're a fan of that world, you're going to find things in this movie that you're going to really enjoy. There's lots of great little call-outs and shout-outs and surprises and stuff in the background and great little details. I think all the actors do a pretty solid job with the characters that are created for them for this movie. And we have to remember that a lot of these characters were not the most fleshed out. And one of the things that Resident Evil is kind of famous for is the cheesy overacting and the over-the-top drama and scares and horror, which almost played a little bit like a parody back in the 90s when these games came out. They were creepy and they were cool, but they also had an element of cheese with them and a sense of humor and fun, and I think that this movie also has a little bit of that. I love the fact that it takes place in 1998. One of the characters actually has a Palm Pilot, and he's getting instructions on the Palm Pilot. I thought that was hilarious. And it was just fun to see things that we're familiar with kind of unravel in the film. Now, obviously, there's some creative license and some different directions and some different choices, which may not please every Resident Evil game fan out there. But I have to say, I was pretty entertained with this movie. I don't think it's state-of-the-art in horror. I don't think it's state-of-the-art in zombie films at all. I think that this movie does a great tip of the hat to the games, of course, but also to the George Romero zombie movies of the past as well, The practical effects with the zombies are pretty cool. The CG effects, we've seen way better CG work in lots of other horror movies and lots of other movies, let's be honest. But I think the budget that they had for this, and yes, Sony could have spent much more money and gone full out with this because the Resident Evil movies have made lots of money for Sony and for Capcom, but I think it was kind of the right choice. Like, they're trying something not new per se, because it's kind of a reflection of what's already been told through Resident Evil media, but it's authentic. There's an authenticity to it all, It's not gonna rock your world when you see it. It's not the best horror experience that's ever been crafted, but it definitely skews to what is familiar in Resident Evil. And I think Johannes Roberts, the writer and director of the movie, did a pretty damn solid job using the tools and the budget and the people that he had to build something fun, and that's at its core. This is a fun horror movie that really honors the source, and I enjoyed it. I think it's cool, and I think if it's successful enough, it's a good launch pad for pursuing more of the Resident Evil tales, and hopefully with a little bit more spend on Sony's part, so we get better effects and even nastier, creepier gore and horror stuff in future iterations. But honestly, I was entertained by Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, and I think that if you are a fan of this universe, you will be too. I think that newcomers to this don't have any kind of connection to Resident Evil may find this a little bit too cheeseball and low budge to be that impressed by it, but it certainly looks like a labor of love. I'm going to give Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City a 7 out of 10.